Hello, everyone. I'm back with some more Dead by Daylight month. Now, after my recent video, which literally nobody watched, I have come to the conclusion that the How It Feels Dead by Daylight series is officially canceled. Due to two reasons. First of all, look at these pitiful numbers. But second of all, I was honestly starting to lose interest in the series. No, that weird bit where I was going insane wasn't entirely made up. I was actually starting to lose interest in the series by the time of the nurse. I was originally just going to make fun of it, but I actually just didn't want to continue the series. So a part of me is glad that it didn't get that many views. And before you ask, no, you shouldn't watch those old ones. They're not very good. So what do I plan to do instead with the rest of Dead by Daylight month? First of all, the ranking video is not canceled. I repeat, it's not canceled. The ranking video is still going to happen. However, to fill in the gap, I'm going to be making something very interesting. Well, at least a concept that's free to adapt. That being Dead by Daylight Fog Fighters. Which, yes, is a fighting game starring the Dead by Daylight cast. Now, how far out there have I gone? Probably so far out there that it's not even funny. However, there's going to be a few rules here. Rule number one: original characters made by behavior only. Meaning, I'm sorry, but we're not going to have any licensed characters fight each other. Although that would be really cool. But if you really wanted that, then Terrordrome exists, which is the game you're actually seeing on screen right now. Huge thank you to the Terrordrome team for making such a cool concept reality, even if it's all unofficial. Second rule, no survivors. Sorry, but I just don't see how Dwight would be a really good fighter. I just don't see it. Now, I get it. Some characters could fight, and it could be amazing to watch them. But, I decided to limit it to just killers. And that's about it, honestly. Only other rule is that I need to come up with a good moveset for each one of them that I choose to be in this game. But, yeah, other than that, everyone else is on the table. Even Skull Merchant. Whether or not she's actually going to be on the table is up to interpretation. Or, at least, in somewhere in this video. Now, what on earth would the mechanics be? Well, because it's such a brutal game, I imagine it would be something similar to Mortal Kombat, with its fatalities and brutalities. You know, that stuff. However, Thorgy's Arcade made an amazing video last Halloween talking about his idea for a horror movie fighting game, which I cannot stress that enough. Go check out that video. It is so good. But his idea was something about the villains getting stronger over time. My idea is somehow implementing the perks into this game. Now, to limit the perks, Howard, well, first of all, no license perks, so fortunately, no deadlock. But second of all, some of the perks are either not going to be in the game, or they're going to have some very big creative liberties taken. Because I don't think gen regression perks are going to really help in a fighting game. And if they do, that's a very strange fighting game. Anyway, with all that being said, here comes a honey. It's around this time when that little splash screen pops up, but I guess it's just the Trapper. When I say the Trapper, I also kind of mean the other original three, being Hillbilly and Wraith. But to keep things simple, we're gonna start with the good old Trapper. The Trapper, Hillbilly, and Wraith would all have their stages, plus some extra things. Trapper's whole gimmick would be setting down traps, which would keep your enemy in place while you did some nice combos. Meanwhile, he has some extra meter, or if you use that, instead of bear traps, he can do something like landmines, which is a small reference to the lore. For his level 3 super, he pulls a Dead by Daylight mobile and clamps a trap onto your head. Morbid? Yes. Fitting of Dead by Daylight? Also yes. His 3 perks would work like this. Brutal Strength would deal more damage in exchange for speed. Agitation would deal more speed in exchange for damage, and that'd be it. Unnerving Presence doesn't make an appearance. Wraith would have the ability to turn invisible and hit the enemy whilst invisible, also having other ghost-like abilities, maybe summoning a fake Wraith to do a little bit more damage. Now, yes, I'm taking serious creative liberties with that, but honestly, Wraith doesn't translate into a fighting game character that well. Predator would probably make him a little bit less susceptible to damage, blah. And Shadowborn would decrease the cloak time. Hillbilly would be very similar to Leatherface in Mortal Kombat X. If you haven't seen Leatherface in Mortal Kombat X, then you probably won't know what I'm talking about, but basically he's a very frantic killer with a chainsaw. His 3 perks would work very similar to how they do in the game. 2 of his perks would work pretty similar to how they would in the game. Lightborn would make him immune to light-based attacks, and Enduring would give him a little bit of super armor in exchange for damage. This is very broken, and I'm sure somebody has a better idea than I do. Please let me know in the comments below how you would improve any of these killers. Here comes a new challenger! The Huntress. If the Trapper wasn't the mascot of Dead by Daylight, she would be. And you know what? This whole thing needs a zoner, and what better zoner than the Huntress? Obviously, she would use her perks Hex Huntress Lullaby and Beast of Prey. Territorial Imperative would have no use here. Beast of Prey would make her faster and stronger the more she hits you. Meanwhile, Hex Huntress Lullaby would give us a Hex Totem that can be placed down after a certain amount of time. and will break after a certain amount of time, giving the killer either a buff or a nerf. And of course, zoning. Hunters will have a bunch of hatchets with the ability to reload them, along with strong command normals and, biggest of all, a command grab. So for those of you who hate zoners, tough break, she's here.
Here comes a new challenger!
So that's why the knight feels so off. He's not meant to be a Dead by Daylight killer, he's meant to be a fighting game character. Of course, how did I not see this before? But yeah, the knight would be our summoning character, able to summon minions to destroy, distract, and all around mess with the opponent. Like having one move where the Carnifex will crush the survivor or the killer. I mean, or another one where the jailer holds them in place while you go to town on them. The knight by himself may be weak, but with his minions they're strong. Look, I half did this for my mom, and half did this because, well, it would be a really cool pick. Also, we need that one weird one in the roster, and I think this is it.
Here comes a new challenger!
The Dredge. Honestly, if the knight wasn't a weird enough pick, I think this is an even stranger one. The Dredge is just a bizarre thing. And now you may be wondering, how on earth are we going to incorporate the Dredge's power into a fighting game? I mean, lockers. Lockers just aren't a thing in fighting games, and if they are, why would a killer need to use them? Also, how on earth is this gonna work? Well, I would say simple, but it kind of isn't. Basically, the Dredge can just teleport between one point and another, and the another part is his remnant. Basically, he's the rushdown character without being much of a rushdown. Able to get near, able to get close to you without having to put in too much work in exchange for damage. Septic Touch may be a pretty good perk, actually. I think that was the very first time anybody has ever said that. But Septic Touch may be pretty good because it could probably slow down the rate that your opponent heals. As for his other two, I don't know. But yeah, the Dredge would be a pretty cool fighter. I got nothing else to say other than the fact that you could probably fund the entire game on Dredge cosmetics. Because come on, everyone knows the Dredge has the best base cosmetics in the game.
Here comes a new challenger!
It wasn't programmed to harm the crew. It was supposed to help us build a safer home, but something happened. It became self-aware. It has no empathy. It doesn't feel pain. It learns at an impossible rate, and it won't stop until we are dead. Or worse.
The singularity. I'll admit, I mostly just did this because I feel kind of bad for the singularity. But I also did this because he's just pretty cool. Now, we're not going to have his perk genetic limits picked because septic touch. That's all I'll say. But I think what's pretty interesting about the singularity is his strategic teleporting. He basically lobs a blob onto the opponent and then will teleport behind them, probably having some quick slashing attacks. Yeah, not much to say about Singularity. I just thought he would be really cool in this game. But we need some rushdown in this game. We have every other archetype. Intelligence, Grappler, Zoner, Shono. We basically have it all. But what about rushdown? Well, I got the perfect one.
Here comes a new challenger.
Our final character for this video, the Legion. I actually wanted to add more characters, but I don't know how they would fit into the game. Plus, I am kind of bloating this video as it is. So, for that in mind, Legion will be our final character for this video. But if you want to see a part 2 anytime soon, please let me know. Also, if you want to see a DLC video where I make a hypothetical DLC with some of the licensed characters, also let me know. And remember, this is also free to adapt. All I ask is just credit. That's all I ask. You don't even need to give me money. But, back to the Legion. Like I said, the Legion is a rushdown character in this game. At least my vision of the Legion is. Because their all power is running. Now, I actually thought up of something interesting. You see, in Terrordrome, Ghostface has a gimmick where he can summon another Ghostface to come and crush the opponent, or at least hold them still. Now, I know we technically already have a character like that in the form of the Knight, but I mean, come on. The Legion is 4 characters. And yet, behavior does nothing with that information other than making some strangely good comic books. So yeah, I feel like it's a mixture of Ghostface plus Sonic the Hedgehog from Smash Bros. Legion is currently the fastest character that we have so far, and with that in mind, he is the perfect rushdown character. But anyway, that has been Dead by Daylight Fog Fighters, at least for now. Do you think this is a good idea, or do you think I'm just going crazy? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, I've been the Gamer Nerd, and thank you for watching.